Leading the way on air, online, and on the go. From WLWT, this is Issues.
Hello, welcome to Issues. We have so much to talk about today. A little later, we're going to talk about a local man who's been in prison for the last 33 years, and we think wrongfully in prison. So we're going to talk about him and tell his story and tell you how you can help him. We're also going to talk to Representative Alicia Reese. You know, she was vice chair for the Democratic National Convention. She's got a lot to talk about. She helped to write the Democratic platform. She's also working hard on voting rights, and we really want to talk about that. There are a lot of things going on that you need to know about. First, we're going to talk to Dr. Celine Peary, and she is the administrator for the Affinity Healthcare Group, and you are the founder of Hope for Ndoki.
Yes.
And Ndoki is an area in Nigeria, and we're going to talk about that. So welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you always have so much going on.
Yes.
Yes. So now let's talk about Ndoki, because you've been in Cincinnati, you said, since 1995, but you were born in Nigeria.
Yes.
And you lived in the Ndoki area. And many of us haven't heard of Ndoki. It's in southern Nigeria, I hear.
Originally, I'm from Ndoki. Ndoki is a little village in the southern part of Nigeria. Well, Abia State, to mention. I left Nigeria 1982 to England, and then found my way to do to United States about 35 years ago. So, and all this time, you know, as a child living in Ndoki to United States now, grew up all this, after growing up, you know, I go back and then I see things happening to the people that I left behind, you know, friends I left behind, you know, death, infant mortality, people telling me about their stories, about having their children died. And it happened to me even when I went to Nigeria. I was sick. There was no health care for me. So I almost died because there's no health care facility.
So you went to visit and you got sick.
Very sick. And the only hospital they could take me to was like about 2-3 miles away, 2 hours away. So
wow.
You can imagine what
really
could have
sick
happened.
And having to travel for 2 hours, that's just horrible. Yeah.
Yes. So coming back to United States, you know, I ask myself, you know, of what use am I if I cannot impact lives that I left behind? God has blessed me and has brought me out from this poverty. So the only thing I can do to mankind is to go back and touch the lives of people I left behind.
That is beautiful. That is wonderful. And you know, so let's talk about, because there's several things you're trying to do with Hope for Ndoki. Now, one is a self-sustaining medical facility that would serve almost 150,000 people. Yes. Right.
The clinic that we're trying to build is not actually even in my own village. We're trying to, my organization, which is Foundation to Improve Healthcare in Africa, and Hope for Ndoki is one of our projects. So we're trying to build this clinic in a place that it is sustainable and it can touch several people in this particular region.
Right.
So it's not just to benefit one individual village, but collectively many villages in that area.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then the second thing is to raise money for a little boy named Ifem, who really needs surgery here in Cincinnati. Tell us about him.
Baby Ifem is one of the typical stories of Nigeria.
Oh, such a cutie pie.
You know, Baby Ifem, as you can see, was born in March, and Baby Ifem has this rare form disease at birth. So somebody told us this story about Baby Ifem, and then my organization here decided that we will see a way that we can help Baby Ifem.
Okay, and the disease is called infantile hemangioma?
Yes.
Okay.
And this, at birth, we saw they gave us the first picture, but now this has grown more than what you see in this picture.
Okay.
Baby Ephraim just arrived, is arriving United States today.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
as I'm a member of Rotary, so Rotary has also been able to help us donate some funds for the transportation for this baby. So
Fantastic.
we have this baby here, and then we're working with Children's Hospital, a local hospital here, to see if how the surgery can be done for baby Ephraim.
That's great. So what we need to do though is raise money for this, for baby Ephraim and the surgery, and I'm sure there'll be lots of bills after the surgery. That's kind of how medical things go.
Yes.
There are always more bills. So yeah, so we need to do a fundraiser for that, and that's part of Hope for Ndoki, the gala, which we're going to talk about. But also you're having a medical mission trip to Ndoki in December.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got 3 things. So let's talk about this gala that's coming up.
The gala
it's got a really fun name, Hope for Ndoki Sundress and Seersucker.
Yes.
Yeah. When is that?
That's August. That should be August 26th, 6 p.m. at Savannah Center.
Which is such a beautiful place out there in Westchester, and tickets are only $75. And give us that number to call, Dr. Perry.
The number to call will be 513-813-5894.
And tell us one more time.
513-813-5894.
I'm glad you put your glasses on, because I couldn't see that number either. So that's great. So people should call that number, get their tickets. What's going to happen at the Seersucker Gala? Sundress and Seersucker.
It's going to be a fun day. We are bringing Africa to Cincinnati.
Oh, I love it.
Africa to Savannah Center.
Wow.
Oh, you'll be able to see African arts, silent auction, African cuisine, which will be
delicious.
awesome.
Wow.
So we hope people can come and see.
That's right.
And meet Africa in Cincinnati.
Right. Eat well, enjoy the music and the entertainment, have a great time, and for a really good cause. Hope for Ndoki. Thank you so much. And that's August 26th, 6 to 9 p.m. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure
Thank you
to
so
see
much.
You to come back soon.
Thank you.
Stick with us. We're going to talk about a man who's been in prison for years and shouldn't be there. So we've got a really sad story, except the ending has not been written, and we are pushing for a happy ending for this story. But right now, there's a struggle. So let's talk about Zachary Pettis. Welcome, Mr. Humphreys.
Well, glad to be here,
And I should say, for
Jan-Michele.
people who don't know you, I don't know who that could be because everybody knows you, but Mr. Robert Humphreys and married to Jackie Humphreys, and we're talking about Jackie's brother, Zachary Pettis.
Right,
Okay, tell us about, now, Zachary has been away for a while, but when you first met him here in Cincinnati, what were your impressions?
When I first met Zachary, Jan, I want to say it had to have been, back in the late 70s, when his sister Jackie and I were dating prior to us getting married. And Zachary worked with me on the Miss Black Cincinnati pageant as an assistant. He was a young boy and helping out. And Zachary was just the most likable young man you could think of. Never had any problem his entire time here with juvenile record or anything like that.
No criminal record.
No criminal record at all. And he was one that everybody liked.
Yeah.
And of course, we were all saddened to hear of the tragic that happened to him in his life.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because he went out to California kind of as most people do. We're going to make a fresh start and do some things in California.
Sure.
He was going to finish school, and so he went out there in 1983.
1983, when he went to California to live with his sister to finish up school. But after being out there 2 months, this tragic, crime took place where a lady of a consignment store in Huntington Beach, California, was murdered. And of course Zachary was arrested for this murder the same day that this murder took place. And the lack of timeline, there was never you know, brought up during the trial.
Well, and let me go back for
Sure.
a minute because just so people can understand what happened. So Zachary decided he was going to move back home, right?
Right,
And
sure.
he didn't want to ask for money, so he was looking for
Looking
jobs.
for a job,
Took a
right.
leave of absence from
Right,
school.
sure,
And she was one of this store owner, this vintage clothing store, is one of the places he went looking for a job.
Yes.
That day before.
Yeah, right,
She said she would take his name and number. Didn't have a job then. He's like, okay, fine. Went off to play basketball. The next day, he was in a bank doing a bank transaction when she was murdered. It
Right,
happened
right.
at the same time.
Sure,
But
sure.
somehow, some person pointed the finger at him. There was a lot of misidentification because he had been in the store the
Right.
previous day, but he had nothing to do with it. And he even, had the bank teller who
Right,
said he was
right.
in the bank when that happened.
Right, right.
But they didn't call the bank teller as a witness at the
They
trial.
sure didn't. They never called the bank teller as a witness at the trial, and
They did
of
no
course,
DNA testing 'cause there was a lot of
no
blood.
DNA testing was done, and they searched at least 5 times his sister's apartment. No evidence was ever found, linking Zachary to this murder. Even when they first went out. But apparently, the last day that they could hold Zachary in jail without having any evidence, all of a sudden on the 5th search, a bracelet turns up with her name on it.
Suddenly, out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
And
I
Zach
opened-
had been
Zach
already
had
locked
been-
up,
had been already locked up.
Right.
And there's no way that a person going to commit a horrific crime like that took place, to murder that woman, and to have no evidence on clothing.
Right.
And to be arrested the same day.
Right.
There was an alleged.
And there was some
Yeah.
jury misconduct. A lot of crazy things went on. Also, wasn't there a murder like 3 days
Yeah,
later?
3 days later.
And he was already locked up.
A murder happened 3
similar.
days later. A similar murder 3 days later that happened in Huntington Beach area. And of
And
course,
still
Zach was already
unsolved.
locked up, and it never was pursued.
Right.
Anyone, for the murder. Since that case is still closed, no one never been arrested for it.
Right. So now Zachary Pettis is still in jail, still in prison.
Still in prison,
I
yes.
understand the judge wouldn't give him the death penalty because there was so much in that
So much involved in
that trial, but he gave him life.
He gave him life instead of the death penalty,
Right.
because I think maybe the judge can see,
Something was wrong,
something that was
right.
wrong with his case. So myself and my brother Fred Humphreys in California, and Tina Jackson, who's a close friend of Zach.
Right, she's got that foundation,
Right, the foundation Angels for Justice. We've been trying to, over the years, to do our best and help to get Zachary out of prison. And
Right.
so now.
And we should, and let's say this, Mr. Humphreys, before you say so now, because over these 33 years that he's been wrongfully in prison, he hasn't had any problems in prison.
No problems in prison.
Hasn't he earned 7 degrees,
He's on
including
7
his doctorate?
He's on 7 college degrees, including his doctorate
And he's an
degrees.
ordained minister.
He's in the day ministry, and he's a role model, for the other inmates there.
Right.
And to my understanding, Zach has never been in a fight.
Never been in a fight in 33 years in
33 years
prison.
in prison, and of course he's a role model prisoner.
Okay, so
And
now what? What are we going to do?
What we're doing now, we're kicking off the Free Zachary Pettis campaign. In the greater Cincinnati area, we want to make people in Cincinnati aware of Zachary's case, his innocence, and that we can move forward to raise funds.
Because it takes money.
It takes money.
Yeah.
It takes money. We're looking for an appeal for Zach.
So you've got to get an attorney who's willing to file the appeal.
Right.
You need an investigator.
Right. Investigator, and we had those. Speaking of that, we had those people in place.
Okay.
We do have an attorney in place that we would need a $25,000 retainer.
Right.
Just to take on Zachary's
Just to
case.
get started.
He's willing to get started. We have a private investigator.
Okay.
Bill Hunt, who's in place already, who already did an investigative report for us several years ago.
Okay.
He's in place and good to go. So,
Okay. So at Fifth Third Bank, you have the Zachary Pettis Legal Defense Fund.
That's correct.
And Jeff said there's also a number to call.
There's a number you can call, which is area code 513-368-8108.
Come up on the screen. Okay, tell us again.
513-368-8108. That's
Yes.
the Free Zachary Pettis campaign number to make any donations or to get involved, with the Free Zachary Pettis campaign.
And you're planning on doing some fundraisers and things like that.
We're looking to do some fundraisers in the future. That'll come later as we move the campaign forward.
Okay, and I know that in the Herald we did a story in 2005 and
sure,
2006.
The Herald
so
did
this is
several
people have been kind of talking about this for a while. So I'm glad to see it's going to move forward.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Humphreys.
Thank
you keep us updated.
Thank you, Jan-Michele.
Yeah,
I sure
let
will.
us know what's going on.
I sure will do that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So much. Stick with us. We'll be back in a moment with Representative Alicia Reese, fresh from the Democratic National Convention. Welcome back. Okay, we have State Representative Alicia Reese. Now, Alicia has a lot of titles. She's president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, and that is an energized, active group. She also was vice chair of the Democratic National Convention, and she was one of the writers for the Democratic National Convention platform, which is just phenomenal. Now, isn't that rare? I mean, that's really.
No, it might be rare. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but that's real. I mean, it's really an honor, and that shows what the national party thinks of you and all the work you're doing. So, and you're always doing so much. And I just want to say congratulations on your convention. Ohio Legislative Black Caucus had a wonderful convention here. You and Representative Christy Coons did just a phenomenal job, and you had Sheila Jackson Lee here from Texas, and Vernon Jordan. I mean, it was just a star-studded, great event.
Yeah, it was a dream come true. As it was exactly how I visualized it.
That's great.
Representative Coons did an outstanding job as our convention chair. You were excellent as
I
our
had a
mistress
good
of
time.
ceremonies.
I had so much fun.
Oh my God, the women's luncheon was supposed to be 200 people, ended up being 400 people.
Yeah,
and we had over 1,000 delegates that registered from all over the state.
Isn't that great?
And Vernon Jordan was just phenomenal. He doesn't really come out much to do speeches, so to accept our invitation, it was just
I had never
phenomenal.
seen him in person. Oh, I guess I had when I was really a long time ago. But yeah, I remember because I have a picture of you and Vernon Jordan and my daughter when she was like 1 year old when Rosa Parks was here.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
that's true. I forgot about that picture.
But I was thinking, but that's the last time I saw him, so that's been 18 years. And so I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, he's like a tall, handsome, just well-spoken, you know, stately gentleman.
Yeah, and he covers the gamut, everything from civil rights to silver rights.
Right.
And so he was phenomenal.
He was great.
So we left the Black Caucus convention.
Went to the DNC.
Went to the DNC convention.
Right, so there's so much to talk about, and I know we have just a quick time, and we, you know, had you come in real fast. Let's talk about something near and dear to your heart, voting rights.
Yeah, I think the first thing was the Voter Bill of Rights, which is historic. We're still at it. We got 100,000 signatures throughout the whole state. Of voters who said they would like to have this. We're continuing to collect signatures. But what was phenomenal was that when I got the platform final draft book, because they didn't let me see the final draft, the book was handed out at the convention on Monday night, and we go to the voting rights section. It's the section that I wrote.
Oh, fantastic.
I wrote the section, and it has the Ohio Voter Bill of Rights in there.
Fantastic.
In the platform, endorsed by, and it was voted on, endorsed by all the delegates from all over the country. So that was phenomenal, and also highlighting what Reverend Barber has done in North Carolina, and I wrote that in there too. So it was just great to see what they said, you know, what Congresswoman Flood said, let's take a vote, and all of the whole stadium said aye.
Oh,
it was just phenomenal. So
looking at that stadium with all those people in there, oh, that was just inspiring.
It was. So when I got to, right before I left, I got an email. I was actually at the P&G Music Festival, and all of a sudden this email comes in, and it was late at night, and it says, congratulations, you've been appointed as vice chair of the DNC convention. And I said, oh my God, I'm leaving tomorrow. What does that mean? And so when I got there, it was like—
That means you're in charge.
It was, it was a lot of work. And I got to see, you know, coming from tourism and conventions, they gave us a tour of the behind the scenes, what it takes to put on the convention, all of the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, everything from, you know, you didn't know you have makeup and wardrobe behind the scenes and directors. And
it was quite an event. Oh my goodness.
It's a production. It really is. But being able to get all of these different states and the delegates and those kind of things, and how do you whip them, because we're getting ready to do our vote, and you had to whip all the folks, get in here, get in line, what's the vote count. So it was phenomenal, and then to be able to walk on the stage and be introduced as a vice chair of the convention representing Cincinnati.
That is so great.
It was just
the Fighting 33rd.
The Fighting 33rd was represented.
That is so great.
The last night I got an email invited by Hillary Clinton to sit in a special section. They had brought these chairs out, and I saw the chairs. I was sitting in Ohio section up, and I looked down and said, oh, they bring out special chairs. They brought out special chairs, and I get an email saying, come down. And I'm sitting there with the Secretary of State of California down there, and governors that are sitting down there, and Mignon Moore, who's we used to work at the White House, an advisor for Hillary, and Donna Brazile, who I grew up with. So I'm sitting right behind them, watching Hillary as she walks right past us to give this historic speech as the first female nominee. It was phenomenal.
She was great. So, but with voting rights, there's a lot. People are asking, why is that so important? Don't we already have voting rights? Do people realize that we're being? Now, explain the purge, because I said, you know, there's that movie, The Purge.
The movie, The Purge. What is purge? Purge is erase just to break it down. And what happened was so many people registered for President Obama. And so many people came out to vote. They said, well, wait a minute, this is not what we wanted in terms of Republicans. And so all across the country, they have been putting different things in place to take away the voting rights.
Right.
They put an ID, a really strict ID in North Carolina. Well, North Carolina took it to court, and the Fourth Circuit Court ruled that indeed they were targeting African Americans, minorities, and low-income people. So they threw it out. So now in Ohio, the Sixth Circuit Court in Cincinnati heard this week the case on purging. So the Secretary of State said, you know what, if you haven't voted in the last, if you only voted in the presidential elections and not in the other elections, I'm going to erase you from the
Right, and people don't even realize it.
Right.
So people are going to show up at the polls and they're not even registered.
Yes.
And if you don't register a month in advance, you can't vote. So people don't realize they are being taken off the polls.
They're taken off, and people tell me all the time, oh, I don't know if I should vote. If voting was not powerful, they would not spend time trying to erase you.
Making sure you don't have a voice.
Exactly.
And they're really targeting, or I should say mostly affected, are black folks and low-income people.
That's exactly right. And so we're hoping that the Sixth Circuit Court will rule in our favor. But if it doesn't, the Black Caucus is going to be launching our tour statewide, registering people to vote. We're going to register, we're going to re-register, and we won't be turned around. So make sure you look at the Cincinnati Herald. They'll have all the behind the scenes of the DNC this week.
And people should check their county board of elections to see if they are registered, because they can find out right away and you might be surprised.
Absolutely.
You have to come back. We need more time. Thank you so much. She's doing great work. We're just so proud of her. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment with some community events. Welcome back. Here's to Michael Bobo with some community events.
Well, first up we have the 7th Annual Men's Conference, Choose Life Not Death, Saturday, August 27th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Woodward High School, located at 7005 Reading Road. For registration information, call 221-2555. And next is the 42nd Annual Lucille Chenault Senior Citizens and Disabled Persons Ball, Wednesday, August 17th, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at Duke Energy Center, first floor, Hall B, located at 525 Elm Street. Donation is $16. For more information, call 242-3341.
Okay, make sure you check online. Just Google your county board of elections. You will find out if you are registered to vote. You might be surprised that you have been purged from the polls. Please check it. Okay, we want you to have a great week. We want you to be empowered. Stay safe and stay positive. See you next week.